Monsieur Wave.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do de. Luta mo nulo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello?
Bësal mu fay.
What?
Bësal mu fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave acts in Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills, and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. At Wave, Bësal mu fine. Wave, your money is yours.
Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Dear Peter, I listened with rapt attention to your Coffee Time show on Tuesday, April the 8th, featuring the Honorable Minister of Information, Ismaila Ceesay. That segment, exploring the recent security overhaul by the Gambia Police Force and local banks, was as stimulating as it was timely. I was heartened to hear that the armed wing of the police is now offering full-time protection to all commercial banks in response to the disturbing wave of armed robberies. This is a strategy I have long championed, and to see it firmly bearing fruit at the relatively modest monthly cost of 30 to 35,000 per bank is both a relief and a vindication. That said, I was intrigued, perhaps even a bit unsettled, by your reaction to the cost, describing it as high, and by the minister's apt but loaded reply, and I quote, "Security is expensive." Your brief exchange lit a spark in me, enough to pen this article not as a critique, but as a reinforcement of a fundamental truth, and that is, true security has never come cheap, and it will never be cheap. You see, our shared history, both regional and global, offers countless reminders of this hard lesson. Just days ago, I watched Senegal's 65th independence anniversary celebrations with great admiration. The dazzling parade of their armed forces, disciplined, well-equipped and confident, was nothing short of majestic. It was a vibrant display of military excellence, rarely matched on the African continent. Senegal's commitment to investing in its security sector is something we in the Gambia would do well to emulate. Your dialogue with Dr. Ceesay stirred memories of a prophetic warning issued back in 1990 by the late General Joshua Dogonyaro of Nigeria. Addressing Presidents Joseph Momo of Sierra Leone and Sadao Jawara of the Gambia at the time, General Dogonyaro cautioned that their stinginess toward national defense was a time bomb ticking. History tragically proved him right. On April 29, 1992, Sierra Leone's President Momo was overthrown by a 25-year-old captain named Valentine Strasser. And just 2 years later, on July 22, 1994, our own President Jawara was toppled by a 29-year-old Yahya Jammeh. Two coup d'etats foretold and avoidable. But who was this man, General Dogonyaro? Dogonyaro first earned international prominence during the early turbulent days of the 1990 ECOMOG intervention in Liberia. Back then, Monrovia was a cauldron of violence. Rebel leaders Charles Taylor and Prince Johnson had besieged the city and were hostile to all foreign military presence. In a catastrophic blunder, ECOMOG's Ghanaian commander, Lieutenant General Arnold Queno, assigned a poorly equipped Gambian contingent to guard ECOMOG headquarters, while Ghanaian, Nigerian and Guinean troops with superior firepower were sent to confront the rebels. The result was disastrous. On September 9, 1990, tipped off about a covert meeting between President Samuel Doe and General Queno, Prince Johnson stormed the ECOMOG base with his heavily armed rebels. In less than an hour, they slaughtered over 80 of Samuel Doe's elite guards, captured the president, and later executed him on camera in a grotesque public spectacle. The Gambian troops, under-equipped and outgunned, could do nothing but stand by, and General Queno's leadership crumbled in the face of the bloodbath. The fallout was swift. ECOWAS, reeling from the debacle, replaced General Queno with General Joshua Dogonyaro from Nigeria, an officer of action and resolve. In no time, Dogonyaro cleared all rebel forces from Monrovia, including the deceitful Prince Johnson, once thought to be the lesser evil compared to Charles Taylor. It was Taylor, ironically, who bombarded ECOMOG's base at the port of Monrovia, killing several soldiers, among them 2 young Gambians. After this sobering chapter, General Dogonyaro embarked on a briefing to both Sierra Leone and the Gambia. He met Presidents Momo and Jawara, both of whose countries have contributed troops to ECOMOG's mission. What he discovered left him with immense shock. The security architecture of both countries was in a pitiful state. His warning was blunt and prophetic, and yet it fell on deaf ears. Now, contrast this with Senegal. It is unimaginable that General Dogonyaro could have ever offered such a damning critique of Senegalese defense posture. On April the 4th, 2025, Senegal's armed forces once again dazzled the continent with a display of military sophistication. The Air Force presented a diverse and powerful fleet: transport planes, trainer jets, multi-role helicopters, an agile Bell 206. The Navy paraded its formidable 62-meter patrol vessels, Walo, Nyani, and Kayor, bristling with anti-ship and air defense missiles. Accompanying these were smaller, fast-moving patrol crafts capable of staying at sea for a full week without support. On land, their armed corps rolled in like thunder. Chinese-built armored vehicles with 30mm cannons and anti-tank missiles, Turkish Otoka Cobras, French 4x4 APCs, South African infantry fighting vehicles, and a phalanx of 122 meters and 155mm howitzers. They also have unmanned aerial vehicles, French, Spanish, and Chinese drones, marking Senegal's embrace of modern warfare. Each armored vehicle carried a price tag ranging from $500 to $4 million, a testament to the country's firm resolve to protect its integrity and sovereignty. Since their establishment on April 1, 1960, Senegal's armed forces have stood as a paragon of professionalism, discipline, and organization. Today, with 17,000 active duty personnel, they are structured across multiple tiers. For example, the Army, the cornerstone with infantry, artillery, armor, engineers, and elite forces divided into regional intervention zones. Navy, defenders of Senegal's maritime interests, now modernized with cutting-edge surveillance and weaponry. The Air Force, that is responsible for transportation and aerial logistics. The Gendarmerie Nationale is a robust paramilitary force under the Interior Ministry. The Presidential Guard, or the Red Guard, a ceremonial unit, but which is also elite in its function and discipline. Among their many strengths are deep-rooted training culture, strategic organization inspired by French doctrine, and a reputation for political neutrality and loyalty to civilian authority. Such a formidable institution doesn't come cheap, but it offers something priceless, and that is durability in democracy and peace. And herein lies the hard truth for us in the Gambia. And as a retired officer and lifelong student of military affairs, I have watched this unease as our nation continues to sideline the importance of defense. With just 4,000 active personnel today, a growing chorus of voices even questions the relevance of the Gambia Armed Forces. Some go as far as to advocate for its outright dissolution, a dangerously naive sentiment. Such thinking likely prompted General Dogonyaro's early admonition. Let us not forget, the Gambia proudly contributed 3 infantry companies to World War II under the British Royal West African Frontier Force, 2 of which fought gallantly in Burma. Yet in 1958, the British, citing cost, disbanded the Gambian regiment, replacing it with the underprepared Gambia Field Force. That fateful decision planted the seeds of our vulnerability. By 1981, the Gambia Field Force had become a politicized shell of a force, easily exploited by the likes of Kukoy Samba Sanyang, whose attempted coup would have succeeded without Senegal's decisive intervention. This led to the formation of the Senegambia Confederation between 1982 to 89, an earnest attempt to reform our military along Senegalese lines. But political half-measures and mutual suspicion saw its untimely demise. The rest, as they say, is history, culminating in the 1994 coup despite the presence of Nigerian support troops. Since then, I have written, spoken, and campaigned for the weaponization of GAF into a modern, disciplined, and apolitical force. Watching Senegal's recent military parade renewed my hope with a trusted and competent government now in power in Dakar under the PASTEF political party. I believe the moment is ripe to re-imagine a military confederation or federation between our two nations, a union grounded solely in defense, mutual trust, and strategic vision. It is time, long past time, to stop treating national defense as an optional luxury. A well-trained, well-equipped, and neutral military is not only the bedrock of internal peace, it is the immune system of democracy itself.
Jar Oil, the company, have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Excellent jam, Wave.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do de de. Luta mënuloo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello?
Bësal mu fay.
What?
Bësal mu fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave at Senegambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills, and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. At Wave, Bësal mu fine. Wave, your money is yours.